Okay, I would say that we waited a few more minutes. Let's get started. I will start with a quick forward and then we can move forward to the introduction part. So, GM everyone, long time no talk with any communities on stage. If you're new here, my name is Hannah and I'm the community lead at Guild. And these community stand-ups are our co-hosted events where we invite community builders actually from our ecosystem. And on these events, we usually explore how these builders are leveraging Guild to create, portable memberships and social structures across apps. And last time we had Li-Fi here and we talked about building alongside the community, different social campaign strategies for growth. And I just want to say that we upload everything on YouTube while also recording this call. So we will post the link on Discord in one of our Discord channel also. And as you could see it already, today we have Muggles from Gearbox Protocol with us. Thanks for joining again. We are really happy to have you here. And also, let me just introduce our community manager, also Norby, who is on stage. He's the one who is making this event to actually happen behind every single operation. So this is why he's here, and I will be the one who is like leading the conversation. But Norby, feel free to hop in if you have any questions or comments. About today's call. Today, our angle basically is recognizing and connecting with early supporters to turn them into core members and token holders with Guild. Because we think that it's extremely important for all builders out there to know, like, if you already have a community, how you can strengthen that further with social strategies and tools. So let's get started with a quick introduction. I will give the stage to you, Muggles. Please just introduce yourself in few sentences, your goal, your roles within the protocol, and actually the protocol itself.
Yep, sure. So before I begin, let me just say that the journey that Gearbox goes for is not towards a token holder; it's more towards the user. We are completely product centric, and we, in general, never talk about token or push the token from the marketing initiative side. That being said, hi, I'm Muggles. I am a part of Gearbox's marketing initiative and a part of the Vibe Subdao. The Vibe Subdao in Gearbox is the one that takes care of the community and the community building, and there's been a core part of that for us. That's largely the introduction towards what the community bit on what Gearbox actually does. So Gearbox is a two-sided protocol. It has a supply side, and then we have credit accounts on the other end. What we do here is we provide composable leverage. Leverage, as we know at the moment, is largely based on synthetics and perpetuals. Gearbox changes that by giving you real assets. Since you have real assets, you have the opportunity to deploy them across different kind of pools and walls, and that enables you to multiply the APY you earn from them, and thus enables leverage farming. How we are double-sided is that the assets that you borrow, the real assets that you borrow, they are also lent to Gearbox through lent on Gearbox to be precise, actually, by different lenders, which are then borrowed by the higher risk-taking leverage takers, and then they are used for farming and across different pools and walls. That's largely how Gearbox works. Coming back to the community bit, because I'm pretty sure that's what people are interested in. So yeah, we started working with the guild, I think about 7 or 8 months ago, and why we started with guild was largely because after having our socials up for some time already, we wanted to kind of grow our community. We needed new members, and we wanted to kind of diversify the kind of members that we have overall in order to help with some strategic tasks. What those tasks are: one, creating different sorts of engagement in the community itself, right? Gearbox has some flagship poker nights. We have some amplification tasks on Twitter and different social medias. And we, as a DAO, obviously have the need for people to come in and take responsibilities of different kind of tasks. while we had a community that was full of users, early community that were, was there to test out the protocol, a community kind of lacked that mix of DAO operational capability and just contributors in general, and that's where Guild helped us grow that part. And yeah, largely that's how we started. What else can I add?
Thank you so much for all the details. It was a pretty detailed introduction. I think you kind of answer to one of my questions, some of my questions that I wanted to ask. But you were speaking of, how you are viewing tokens and token holders and the whole DAO structure. I'm really curious to know that, like, personally, what sparks you the most when it comes to, building the community that you are actually a lead
Yeah.
of?
Uh, so when somebody joins a community now, they get segregated into different things. So the first starting point is explorer. If you're somebody who is new to DeFi, if you're somebody who's still learning about DeFi, you usually go towards the explorer side. If you're somebody who has been in DeFi but isn't too used to it, you're somebody who goes into the learners category, and the learners are the ones who take on a little more responsibility. I'll just get into the details. I'll just explain the structure first. If you're somebody who is actually, completely sure about DeFi and you have used it for a bit, you have farmed different protocols, you were part of DeFi Summer or whatever, or you're a leverage taker, you become a ninja or you just become a passive lender. That's how the community at the moment is structured. Now, coming back to the explorers, uh, our goal on explorers is to help them grow. It's to help them understand DeFi better. How we do that? We have a chat that's active. We have social amplification tasks that are active, and we routinely post articles that will help you just grow. While the articles don't uh, go ahead and simply try to teach you DeFi, uh, they talk about DeFi in depth enough for you to understand how Gearbox functions, and in turn how protocols that we integrate, Yearn, Lido, Convex, Curve, Uniswap, all of those function. And that kind of takes your learning trajectory from an explorer to a learner. Now, once you're a learner, there are kind of three criteria that we look at when we look at making somebody a learner. One, the kind of impact they have on amplification, the kind of understanding they have of DeFi and Gearbox, and finally, yeah, whether or not they're ready to take some sort of additional responsibility. If we find somebody fulfills those three criteria, we mark them as a learner. And once they are a learner, we eventually hope that they will turn into a user. And the users are the ones who are either the passive lenders or the leverage takers. So that's largely it. And as a user, I think it's largely up to you how you want to operate the protocol. We don't really interfere there.
As I can hear all the details, I would say you got yourself quite a builder field community. It's really, really precious and valuable to hear how you are focusing on community education because it has like a massive importance whenever you are building, an aligned community, and also when you just want to have this collective knowledge sharing. Just a quick question. When you were talking about the explorers, helping them to understand, the whole DeFi space and how the protocol works, I'm really curious to know that, how, like, how many parts of your community is actually contributing to help one
Yeah.
another? Do you
To
have
be,
any contribution structures set up, or they are
yeah. So to be
organically
very
growing?
exact, learners are the ones who kind of help explorers grow as well. At the moment, we have 14 learners, and we would have over 70 explorers. So it's 14 people plus the marketing initiative plus the Vibes DAO, helping out the explorers learn a little more about DeFi and progress in the space in itself. It helps the space and obviously helps Gearbox. On ninjas and lenders, I don't think I can completely reveal that number. But there was a second part to your question. Could you please repeat that again, maybe? Yeah, there was a
Sorry,
second
could you
part to your
repeat?
question, right? regarding this. Could you maybe repeat?
Um, I I think you answered it all. I just wanted to know that like how your contribution, flow is set up. Like, do you have, a whole structure set up, or they are just
No,
organically
we have a
growing?
structure, and
So I
just to
think you
add one more
answered
thing
it
to it, to be
perfectly.
honest, and like just to highlight like how much people can grow over here. We had people joining in as explorer towards the start of 2023 or towards the end of 2022, who are now leading the Chinese sub DAO. The entirety of this comes from the Discord. I myself, to be honest, was a Discord user 2 years ago for Gearbox and was just contributing randomly. I did not come through Guild, but I was just somebody who joined the Discord and decided to help the community in any way I could, and I ended up working full time at Gearbox. So yeah, there are few of us, even our community lead Nikki, who would often talk to Guild, uh, has gone through the same basis, and in a way we were all explorers once, and that's why we understand how important having a structure for people who are just starting out in DeFi is.
This is actually amazing. I'm really happy to hear that, like knowing your whole journey, because actually it represents that like there are big potentials and opportunities, within your DAO for anyone who is, seeking just growth within your community and actually with your community. I'm really, really like impressed of knowing that like your learners are actually helping the explorers, to have this whole community and member life cycle. I'm really curious to know that, like, do you have any engagement strategy in place or your favorite tool stack to just nurture the connection with them with these different
Um,
membership tiers?
we largely just use, if I'm being very
Like,
honest,
how
we largely just use
them?
Discord and
Thank
we try to keep it personal. We do not have any tools as such, but we have our Friday night poker, where we engage the community, just sit together, play a game of poker, and we have about 60 to 70 people usually turn up, and we have a nice game on that. And then, yeah, of course, every time, every quarter, in fact, we have a vibes report that comes out that promotes explorers to learners and just updates them on everything that Vibes has done. That's done through Medium, and that's largely it in terms of how we later on engage the community. But it's kept very personal through Discord, to be very honest.
I'm really curious, like how did like poker came into the place? Because I was checking your server before, getting on this call because I just wanted to get, a better understanding of like how you are functioning and how you are, growing your community on your own. And I saw these pokers, even at the guild requirements. So was it something which was like a community led, or was the
No,
whole initiative coming from your
entirely
team?
community led. Like I'm telling you, there's no team in Gearbox. If I'm being very honest, right? Team not in the traditional sense. It's all contributors who have joined the DAO. And even this was just proposed on Discord by the community, saying that it's Friday night, let's play poker. So it started out with like I think 15 people initially joining, and then some other DAOs also took notice of it, and they started joining us. The community grew like that, and then we obviously all the people that joined through Guild, they started coming in and they started enjoying. They were like, yeah, this is also something. It's not just social tasks and whatever and just work. There is something fun too. So I think that just kind of stuck around, and it was completely community driven.
Wow. It's so interesting to hear that. And is it something, maybe you mentioned, is it something which is like happening weekly
Oh, it's
or
every Friday night. Every
bi-weekly?
Friday
How
night
is it?
at 5 p.m. GMT, we have a poker night. Sometimes we actually even incentivize that. It's usually not incentivized, but when we had, so we did something for when the token was supposed to become transferable. We did something called OX Cider, which was a new way of getting liquidity through together, and also pooling up the rewards required in order to sustain the liquidity post launch of the token. And at that time, we kind of tried to give away a case of beer, a case of cider to the top three winners in poker. Same after the Bitcoin Pizza Day, where we tried to get everybody who wins, the top three, a pizza.
How cool is that? And I even saw that you actually just included the whole poker into your guild also, because I see that you actually have a membership tier, which is like Poker Rambo for your winners
Yep.
of the
Guild's
poker
obviously
tournament.
been a massive, massive boost for us in that regard, and kind of helps us keep the community gel together.
You were mentioning another engagement initiative also, and I would love to get a better sense of what is this exactly, and I would love you to explain it to our audience also, which is basically these vibes programs. What does it mean
So
actually?
Vibes
What does
is
it
actually
include
the
for the
marketing
community?
the community sub DAO of Gearbox. So it's not a program in itself, but Vibe Subdao is the one that takes the decisions on KOLs, on media, on community, on memberships that we actually onboard, the kind of expenses that we have, and it manages the entire community and marketing treasury that Gearbox possesses. So that's the key use of Vibes, but at the same time, the entire community that we onboard becomes a part of Vibes automatically, right? So all the explorers that we talked about, all the learners that we talked about, they're all part of Vibes. And all the activities, the poker activity, or the social media amplification activity, or the Chinese subDAO who help us with the translations and who help us mod the community, all of those together form Vibes. That's how Vibes works today. So it's like largely work related, and takes care of the community and the engagement and the PR.
How many sub-DAOs you actually
At the
have,
moment,
and
we
how they are
have
functioning
three
all
different sub
together?
DAOs apart from the main DAO. One being the tech operations, which largely looks after deployment of different pools and contracts that are required to be deployed over time. It kind of helps the developers, focus a little more on the development bit, key development, core development bit of the protocol, and not have to worry about the deployment bit. The second one is the BD subDAO. BD subDAO is a new one. We currently only have one member in it, but yeah, that's also going well. And third is Vibes, like I just talked about it. The good part is that you can propose either a subDAO or an initiative as you want, given it makes strategic sense to Gearbox, right? And that is where the contributors are very good at understanding whether the person, coming up and talking about a proposal knows what they're talking about or not, to be very honest with you. So if anybody wants to make a sub DAO, it's very easy to propose it, but they need to make sure that they have gone deep into Gearbox, they've understood Gearbox well, they understand the needs of Gearbox well, and they have a strategy that can truly help Gearbox accelerate in the manner that aligns with the entire DAO. And once you post that on the governance forum, or our newly launched forum in Discord in itself, there will be like a small discussion of things like, whether this works, this doesn't work, or what changes it requires. Uh, After that, if there is a soft approval between all the people on the forum itself, it will go for a vote. The vote part, then again, it's up to the DAO, right? I mean, that's how DAOs work. If it's something that does make sense, it might go through. If it does not make sense, it might not go through.
Thank you so much for all the details. I'm pretty sure it was a big information for many of us in the audience to get a better sense of like how you are working together, and maybe if they are, they get interested, they just want to join your community and eventually your any of the subtitles, like here are all the information that they need. So thank you so much. Speaking of all the subtitles, I just want to touch on some a little bit similar topic, but as main angle of our entire call, I just want to touch on the early supporter recognition and engagement. Um, Speaking of all the sub-DAOs, I'm not sure whether they are coming from your early supporters or any, newcomers, or let's just say newer comers can also be part of your sub-DAOs. But I just want to know that, like, how do you currently identify them and engage with them? For example, speaking of your guild structure, I saw that, for example, you're utilizing POAPs for, your participants in different launches. So if you have any other information on
So
that
I'm
one, we
not
would
entirely
love to
clear on
hear
the
that.
question. Is it regarding sub-DAOs, or if you could maybe explain this one again?
Yeah, mainly speaking of sub-DAOs, I just wanted to touch on like how you are actually recognizing and identifying, and also afterwards like activating your early supporters. And I just wanted to touch on, because I already saw it in your guild, you are utilizing POAP for your, participants who were there on different
Yep.
launches like
So got it.
Genesis
Sure. So
Miner and
like
all these
I told you,
things.
explorers and learners, I think, is now clear, who are within the Vibe sub-DAO themselves, and they can mint a Pope if they clear the quiz that we used to have, to be honest, to become an explorer, which was a requirement to become an explorer. We might change that for the next round of explorers, because now we have that initial early community and we kind of want to grow it, and then look at how we grow the additional community that we onboard further. But apart from that, yeah, absolutely. If you just want to join Gearbox and not too much, and you just like somebody who is interested, you will get the Gearhead role that you can get it. It's all available on the Guild website. Genesis minor role is for the people who mine the initial credit accounts. So the credit accounts that I was talking about initially, that enable you to take on leverage by borrowing funds from the lenders, from the lending pools that we have. Uh, the people who mine are, so these credit accounts are actually isolated smart contracts. The people who mine these smart contracts, by mined I mean paid the gas for these, are the ones who receive a Genesis miner rule. You can mint it again by going through the guild page. Maybe if you can link it later. Then we also have a bag holder rule. This is for all the people who hold more than 10k gear, and if you're a good enough explorer, you can easily get there. I think we had over 15 explorers last time who received more than 10,000 gears, which is over $500 at that time. I'll have to recalculate for now. I'm sorry about that. So cider alcoholic, like I told you that we had that liquidity uh, event before we made the Gay token transferable. That's where the cider alcoholic part goes through. And yeah, similarly, we also have something to do with lobsters, who helped us with the initial mining, and then Poker Rambo for the people who actually paid play poker with us. And in poker, we again use Guild to kind of give out badges. There are three kind of NFTs that you can win by coming at the first, second, or third page. And obviously, again, all of this is on Guild, and you can check everything out over there.
Feel free to share any links that you want our audience to just check out or, click. You were mentioning actually to, have the focus to strengthen the community once they are recognized as supporters. And I'm really happy you were mentioning the different collectibles and the different communications so they can join your poker nights and all these things. So I think I'm all good on my end with all the questions. I just want to ask you before I head into the next section, like, is there anything else that you want to add about your community management, or
Yep,
anything that
absolutely. I
comes to
think
your mind?
I wouldn't maybe talk about community management over it, because that gets boring, right? Let's talk about community, right? So Gearbox has been building for over 2 years now. We initially started with our V1, which was largely a test and prod thing. We were testing our product out and seeing whether the idea that we have works or not. It was like a very in-depth MVP in a manner, if you want to look at it. When we realized that this works and it's safe, that's when we launched our V2. V2 was something where we for the first time introduced multiple protocols, multiple new pools, and we increased the kind of level that we could reach. And while we were planning for something close to 50 MN TVL, we were able to reach 140, and that a lot of that is owed to the community that we have, right? That's owed to the lenders and to the leverage takers who appreciated the product that we created. Now, V2 served a very simple purpose for us, and that was making us realize how robust our risk system is. 6 months later, we now know that the risk systems that we have developed make sure that there is no bad debt. With our risk system, security, and everything now in place, and V2.1 coming up to shore up the security even further, Gearbox is now actually finally going to start deploying the things that the protocol was made for. One being proper leverage farming. So you're going to see multiple new leverage farming pools popping up on Curve V2, which is going to be absolutely insane. I mean, when you have pools that have an organic APY of 14% being levered up, it's you can imagine the kind of leverage they'll be able to take. And the second thing, the more important thing, Gearbox is going to actually launch a second D app, which is going to be Gearbox's own ownership on that, and that will be a leverage trading one. So the entire thing that we're focused on at the moment is leverage farming. The second thing that we're going to now focus on is leverage trading. Leverage trading on chain at the moment is how it works is that you kind of have to depend on the protocol itself, whether it's I wouldn't take any name of the protocols, but largely how it works is you kind of depend on the house to pay you out because it's all based on synthetic. Gearbox's leverage trading will largely utilize Uniswap as an AMM. When we do that, uh, the liquidity that we require depends entirely on what Uniswap is able to offer, and that means you do not trade against the house. While I say that, I'll kind of dial it back to V2, where we utilize the community to grow again, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So, to the community, I think over the next 6 months, you're going to have multiple opportunities with Gearbox to grow because as a protocol, we are going to be deploying so many new things, be it the Curve V2 pools, be it Balancer and Aura later on, be it Gearbox V3 in itself, somewhere around Q3, or the new trading DApp that we'll have. So there's multiple things to do. And again, with trading coming in, you can be a trader, you can be somebody who likes sharing referral links, you're somebody who likes charting, and then again a whole new possibility of community opens up, right? So like we have learners and explorers right now. I'm pretty sure once trading comes in, we're going to have multiple new roles, and again, a lot of that is going to go through Guild. So just keep a lookout because Gearbox is going to get very interesting in this regard. And yeah, I mean, if you can help Gearbox out, they're definitely going to be rewards. That's what Vibes is for. We never ever are just going to do something to exploit people. If somebody actually goes in and contributes, we make it a point that we somehow reward them. So yeah, with trading coming in, you're going to see multiple new things that you can do as a community member on Gearbox. Multiple new initiatives that might pass that might make strategic sense. Keep a lookout. Go deeper into Gearbox and see what you can do. That's what I'll say. That's how I started, and I see Nikki also has joined. Nikki's also here. Nikki is the community lead for Gearbox, and he also joined Gearbox in a very similar manner.
Wow, thank you so much for all the information. You have such a lot of things coming up, the big developments, big launches. So please just share with us, share in the community whenever they are out or whenever there's something exciting, just that you just want to give out to the space. I think there's like a really great potential in writing, a whole use case about entire call, how you are using Guild, how you are building your community, and how, Guild will be able to support you to grow more. So thanks for all that. I'm feeling like I know so much more about Gearbox now. So
Yep.
big congrats on everything that you've been building, and just keep building. Um, with all that saying, I would love to move forwards to the final section of our call, which is basically some guild power moves, tips, and tricks to, help you fuel your growth. So, moving forward, based on all the things that you shared with us today and what I've seen in your community so far, I would love to take this opportunity of having you guys on stage and just suggest some power move strategies, because we just want to get a better sense of like what are your goals and how we can support you better to fuel your commitment curve in your community also. And when it comes to communities, you know that the first building block is actually your onboarding. I saw that you have over 22,000 members on your Discord, and you already have 4,000 onboarded individuals on Guild. And I saw that already. You have an embedded Guild join button also on your server, which is actually the perfect first step to, encourage your server members to just take a bigger slice of your Guild. Because I saw that you also have like an entry kind of role for those who just want to, get a better sense of like what you're doing, guys, how they can, just join the whole movement that you are a part of and that you are leading. And with that, my biggest advice would be to just make the guild onboarding more streamlined for your aspiring members by gating some part of your server better, where you just want to have your role holders to engage with one another. So it means that there would be actually more structured rewards to your roles within your server, because gating different channels, categories is good for both onboarding and also for member targeting and activation. But first, I just want to touch on onboarding. About onboarding, for example, if you are gating your server much better, or let's just say more structured, this way you will not only keep your gated space safe from, for example, potential scammers, and for more moderated and aligned with your community goals, but it will also give your newcomers better guidance on how to get onboarded and take a bigger part of your protocol. Because, for example, personally speaking, I know it can be sometimes really scary for newcomers to, just hop on a server and not knowing where to start. And I know that as community builders, community managers, we're always like, okay, just let's create a channel, just call it start here or whatever, been there, done that. But I know that when, they don't know where to start exactly, because there's so much happening on the different channels already. Some can, just get drifted away right away. Speaking personally, I always do that. Like when I see that like there are so many channels, I'm just scrolling through immediately. And when you are getting drifted away from learning more about your goals, learning more about the community's goals and membership structures and onboarding, it can either just scare them away, or either, have confusion and having them not being aligned with your goals, which can, scare off some other individuals also from your community, if it makes sense. I don't know if you have any experience with that, or how you are seeing this whole, topic of
Completely
onboarding,
get your
or
point.
if there's
I
anyone
think
in
we
the
can, yeah, I
audience
agree
who
with you. I think
has any
there's
kind of
certain
thoughts
tweaks
on
that we can
that.
make, but just
But
like a small note on that. How we actually onboard, even through Guild, is we open something through vibes. We open a questionnaire through vibes that people are supposed to fulfill. And if you scroll in our Discord, you'll see a certain section called Vibes Panel, and that is where all the channels are, Vibes Talk, all the program news and everything. So maybe it's not visible at the moment as well as it should be. So yeah, definitely feedback taken, and we'll make sure that the explorers that join in are able to see that well enough.
Personally, I think that your server is really well structured. When I went there and I looked at it as a community builder, I was like, oh, cool. These are different categories for different channels. It wasn't like a massive shock because sometimes you just go to a server and you have no clue what's going on. I immediately got, the whole impression of having this builder field community, having the different layers and structures within. I would just, as a single advice is like having the onboarding more structured for those who have no clue what is going on first. And also, I just wanted to touch on one more thing as part of this whole power move section about member targeting and activation. Like previously, I mentioned, like gating these different channels and categories can be good also for targeting and activating your members who are already, onboarded. So once the onboarding is done, once the onboarding is like, chef kiss, you can just actually focus on member targeting. Because once you have your personas identified and your members segmented, and since we've been talking here on the stage for like almost 40 minutes, I really got the impression like the exact personas, like you have it identified in your community, so tick box, it's all good. And once you have it, by understanding their interests and internet history, you can just simply tailor your guild accordingly and just create them a personalized experience. It's like holding their hands on every single step at their journey once they are getting funneled into or orbit down to the center of your community. And for example, if you're tailoring your rewards at the guild, for example, communication channels, or even like have them have tailored and dedicated events for them, it can help you really cater to their specific interests and need of each segment. So this way, when you're having this
Yep.
targeted approach, you
Yep.
can
We actually
foster
already
these
do that, to be
stronger
very honest. Like
connections
that's why
and
we
just
have learners
have
and
a
explorers
much
separate,
stronger
and
member
the
engagement.
credit for that goes to Nikki. Nikki's in audience, and he's done a fabulous job at it.
Perfect. I would love to have a call with Nikki also, just to get a better sense of like what you guys are having. I've been just, lurking around your server and checking your guild. But yeah, speaking of your server, it's really chef kiss.
Absolutely, yeah.
I would love to just share some inspiring use cases with you from other communities. We have a chat, so I will send you there. Is like speaking of onboarding, we just have a piece of article about, like, for example, how Developer Though is leveraging Guild for their member onboarding. There are different pictures and different bullet points to understanding like how they are doing. And about the targeting part and the activation, we have another case study we did with TJAR from Pull Together, which is like matching opportunities with member aspirations. So one for onboarding, one for how to activate your community better.
Yep.
So that's all from me. Thank you so much for listening. If you have any comments or any ads on, I would love to hear that. And also, if anyone's from the audience have any questions or something like this, it was really nice to talk with you. I got a much better sense of like what you're doing and where are you going, because these are the information that you cannot get from Twitter or any other social
That's
media
true. Actually, I
sometimes
think I might have
because
said a
there
little
are
too
the
much about
alphas
Gearbox trading,
leaked on this call.
but
So this is
yeah,
why I
I
love
think it's
community
worth it
stand-ups.
because Guild's always been a good source of growth for us, and with trading coming up, I'm pretty sure we'll need Guild's support again. So yeah, uh, all the audience member who are listening, make sure you keep an eye out for Gearbox trading, and I think it will be mutually beneficial for everybody.
Thank you so much again for joining us. And as a little badge of appreciation, we prepped a pop for everyone who is here in the audience and for you also, Muggles. But we are still waiting for the pop links. But don't worry, guys. The visuals are ready. The links are, requested. So once we have it, we're gonna send out a friendly reminder to everyone to just grab their own. And for Muggles, we
Yeah,
will send some
same, absolutely.
for
Thank
your
you. Thank you
entire
so
team.
much.
So thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed this call.
Absolutely. Bye.
Thank you. See you another time. Bye bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye.